Good afternoon, Hattiesburg. Thanks for joining us for this COVID-19 briefing for Friday, January 22nd. We will start today with hospitalizations. This is between Merit Health Wesley and Forest General combined. As of this morning, we had 96 people who were in the hospital who were COVID positive. Of those 96, we had 26 who were in the ICU. As you can see, we are glad that most of this week we've been under 100 hospitalizations, and we'll talk about that in a little bit, but that's an encouraging sign, as well as getting under 30 in terms of ICU. Statewide today, there were 2,050 new cases reported with 45 new deaths, and unfortunately, one of those new deaths was in Forest County. We send our thoughts and condolences to that family, which bring totals to date 122 COVID-related deaths in Forest County and 65 in Lamar County. New positive cases today, both Forest and Lamar County had 34 each. And since this began, we're up to 6,135 new total infections in Forest County and 4,998 in Lamar County. Our 5-day average, as you can see, even though we had a high number yesterday, that 5-day average has continued to kind of been on a steady trajectory downward. And we're glad to see that and hope that trend continues. The inside 14-day number is the number of people who have received their positive test result in the last 2 weeks. In Forest County, that number is now down to 515. In Lamar County, actually fell under 500, going to 483. And again, this is another positive sign. Again, we're well above what that July spike brought us, but we're still hopefully on kind of the back end of what was the November, December, early January spike. And glad to see that number there. Compared to a week ago, Forest County was at 578 inside 14 days. Again, potential active cases now down to 515. Lamar County down by almost 100 from 581 to 483. And so down to 998 now in terms of the inside 14-day number. Hospitalizations also down on both fronts. A week ago, we were at 107, down to 96 now. ICU down by 7 to 26. Our goals continue to be protecting the vulnerable, people who are over the age of 60 or people with underlying or chronic health conditions. We also want to prevent overrun of the healthcare system by slowing the spread. And speaking of the healthcare system, we always like to give you an update on kind of what hospital capacity was as of this morning. Forest General had 4 acute beds and 4 ICU beds. Lamar County had 11 acute beds. However, their ICU was full. And again, that's as of this morning. So typically, hospitals will discharge in the mornings and then take in some in the afternoon. Still, bed capacity is still tight there at both hospitals. There's some positive takeaways for this week, and we certainly, while giving you the information, want to definitely draw attention to those things that are going well, or at least are improved over last week and in previous weeks. The inside 14-day number, the potential active cases, is below 1,000 for the first time since December 9th. The hospitalizations, 6 out of the past 7 days have been under 100, and of course ICU numbers falling under 30 since the first time since December 27th. All of those are positive takeaways. However, there continue to be challenges. We know that hospital bed capacity is still limited. You saw earlier, Forest General had 4 acute beds available this morning. Merit Health Wesley had just over 10. Still tight, which typically happens during the winter months. Also, vaccine supply we know is still limited. And I know with a new president, there's a goal of getting 100 million doses in the first 100 days. Right now, we're still limited. We hope that in the coming days that more slots open up both at the convention center and maybe even at Hattiesburg Clinic. Some city news, a lot to report to you. On Wednesday, our consent decree, which dealt with our sanitary sewer overflows, we talked about this last fall. That consent decree was signed by Senior Judge Keith Sterrett in the Southern District. And so what that means is the settlement that involved the lawsuit that EPA had filed against the city is now officially settled because the judge has signed it. What this means is those sanitary sewer overflows, the city will have to pay just over $160,000 in penalties for the SSOs that were not reported between 2012 and 2016. We're also committed to just over $40 million in sewer infrastructure improvement over the next 16 years. And there's going to be a lot of modernization of our operations and maintenance to try and keep those SSOs limited, but most importantly, reported over time. And so we're glad to see that settlement finally reached, finally finalized, and we look forward to going forward from here. Yesterday, I signed the food truck ordinance that was unanimously passed by the City Council earlier this week. We were glad to have Kyle Bass from Art of Rue on hand for that. The challenge we've had up until now is that if you were a food truck in the city of Hattiesburg, you had to get a transient vendor's license for food operations, which was only good for 6 months and could only be used in certain zoning areas. Well, under this new ordinance, that license you get is specifically for food trucks, and it's good for a year, and you can actually open in more areas. And so we know that food trucks are a growing part of our culinary landscape here in Hattiesburg, and we look forward to seeing more of those pop up after this ordinance is in full effect. Yesterday, we also announced, the Hattiesburg Alliance for Public Art actually announced that there are a call for artists for our traffic signal box project. If you've driven around Hardy and Park Avenue, Hardy and 21st, Hardy and Broad, MLK and J.C. Killingsworth, or down by Forest General, you've seen 5 of these traffic signal boxes that have been painted, almost like mini murals from several of our local artists. We're now going to do the next 20 with the support of the Hattiesburg Alliance for Public Art. So if you know an artist, I encourage you to go to the HAPA Facebook page, Hattiesburg Alliance for Public Art, and fill out a proposal. This is going to be going on for the next several weeks, and we look forward to how this is going to take something that's mundane, a traffic signal box, and turn it into a real asset. We also want to congratulate Malia Grayson. She's a Hattiesburg High alum. The second time this season as a freshman, she's been named CUSA Freshman of the Week. Of course, she was part of that state championship team a couple of years ago, but we want to congratulate her for taking the next step and showing her talent in the Division I landscape. And finally, our act of courage. Today, it was announced that Dr. Beverly Dale, who has been part of the Dale Lecture Series, who just a wonderful lady who does so much for our university, has established a new scholarship endowment in honor of our own John and Julie Arender. Julie, of course, is a teacher at Hattiesburg High. John works at Hattiesburg High as well. He does a lot of the social media and media relations for their athletic program, and just 2 super individuals who live in our city. But this scholarship will go for Hattiesburg High students who want to go to Southern Miss. And so to Dr. Beverly Dale and her niece Julie Arender and her husband John, we appreciate all that you do, and we hope that people will go and support this. But also, if we have Hattiesburg High students that want to apply for this, they can go to usmfoundation.com/go. As we go into the weekend, remember to wash your hands, take care of yourself mentally and physically, wear a mask if you go out in public, do only what is essential, and remember, you're safer at home. Have a great weekend.